50 years ago, almost to the day, to the yesterday, the Shafer Report, the federal panel said marijuana should be decriminalized, but the president who ran on reform still hasn't done it. And you can see they get into a little bit of an editorial reply there. However, if those who of us are adjoining and are not in the awares, you're going to enjoy this. And so smash some likes and click them subscribes if this is something that you didn't know. The way that the Controlled Substances Act actually got passed back in 1970 in the wake of there being no federal cannabis prohibition, because Timothy Leary in Leary v. United States got the 1937 Tax Stamp Act kicked, and Nixon said drugs were public enemy number one. They put Schedule F, or Part F, into the Controlled Substances Act to commission this study called the Shafer Report to determine whether or not the facts that Congress was finding to put the substance into Schedule 1 was valid. And it turned out, no, it was not. Now, this means that Congress punted on its vaunted finding of facts powers and gave it to an administrative study that was done and then published and then disregarded.
Yeah,
and so those facts supporting the Schedule 1 classification are still one of the reasons why this law is constitutional. But we don't really believe it's constitutional over at our Facebook page. And so, boy, talk about the studies that we still need to do.
Right. So this was the Shafer Report, right?
This was indeed the Shafer Report. That's right.
What was the LaGuardia Commission? Was that just a state?
The LaGuardia Commission was before that. That was like on the wake of them doing the first federal prohibition. And so that was more along, and we'll do a history on the LaGuardia Report in the future. But this was, look at that 14-member commission that they put together, appointed by Nixon himself and congressional leaders, and they recommended decriminalization. My goodness. And they still never did it. And one of the things that I thought was good in these links had to do with a link out, and there's a link out to the old stuff that I used to read all the time, the drug war library or the drug library, because they actually have the Shafer Report published. That was the normal email. So if you're not a normal's emails, you should be. But then they had a link out to that druglibrary.net of the entire Shafer Report. You can go through how detailed this study was, those studies that people still want more of. And then the studies that, maybe we should show that senator from Alabama who wants to infringe on your rights as a woman to buy weed. I tell you what a time to be alive, Well,
it's not in the notes, but it was shared in our Slack. But this is we need a new bumper of shit we've talked about that you've heard it here first before, but now because it's all about regulation is so effing boring. Like the whole policy, law, creating society is just boring. Like there's no quick fix, right? But Cannabis Industry Journal reporting, and then I've talked about this first because I'm into the engineering side of things and whatnot. But ASTM, which is a huge nonprofit, really how we know like manufacturing processes behind the ways. Like the same way if I were to give you a pound of cheese, and it's going to be the same pound of cheese here in America versus England, right?
Well, in England it would be in metric.
Well,
but they would just convert it to grams.
But if they had a pound, right, like a pound weight, it'd be the same pound weight versus, so there's a standardization for everything, right? And here the ASM launches a standard for international intoxicating cannabinoid symbol, right? It's just a symbol. It's just this. See the little pot leaf right there? That's a little package that's going to be in every package across the world one day.
Yep.
But also, go ahead.
Oh, when I saw that come out, I'm like, oh, I might want to update and amend, because you have your labeling plan, right? Your packaging and labeling plan, and your packaging and labeling plan is going to change depending on whatever jurisdiction you're in, but you still go where are the packaging and labeling regulations? Oh, they're over there. Thank you. And then you take the one that you already have and then you put a new one together. But I would probably add this to my packaging and labeling plans already, because and then in further compliance with future-proof standards, we will incorporate the ASTM, cite it, and then show it. Well, show it if you have pages to show it. Yeah. Don't show it if you are on a page crunch.
Well, in the ASTM, they're really good because it's not just this one topic, one thing that they created, right? They're doing different things for cannabinoids testing, but it's all real scientifically figured out type scenarios. It's not like a 9 out 8 times this will happen, whatever. No, it's going to be like, this is consistently what this is. And, you know, and that's the standardization that if you're really into like legalization, like boring regulation, if you are, you probably already followed ASTM, but you should follow ASTM and check out their cannabis section. It all costs money though to be part of it, just like NIST or the A2LA certifications for the labs. All these things, it's all documentation that they're putting out that is going to be the basis for future federal regulation. You know, the GMP certifications, the DUI bullshit. Like, there's so many spectrum of how to regulate this plant. This is not being properly regulated at all in any state.
Right. Well, some states are trying harder than others to regulate it seems, and try to get it right, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anybody's out to burn it, but then again, there's deep pockets, the money, the tax money. We still don't know where all the tax money in this state goes from. You know, that shitty ad that I showed you, the training. Yeah, we don't know. It's kind of filtered into a general fund. Like, it's not, there's a little bit that goes to, it's not like Colorado where they could say, look, we built playgrounds and stuff like this. You know, it's you know, we're not the perfect utopia that most people think Washington is, this liberal utopia.
Right. Well, you guys do have some data that you publish at least on a per license basis regarding revenue numbers, and so they should know, they know where every dollar has been collected. Yeah. After it gets collected, then where it goes, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, that's a problem. And then the thing too is the governing body for the cannabis out here, the LCB, they're appointed by the governor, so they don't answer to anybody. You know, that's the problem. Like when they put out these statements, they talk about shareholders, right? You would think the consumer was the shareholder, the citizen was the shareholder. That's not who they're placating to. They're placating to the companies and the associations that are showing up and taking them to dinner and inviting them to their conferences. That's who they're placating to. It's fucked up.
Pizza.